Hello, James.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? You said that so briskly, like someone passing me on the tube.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi. How you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi. Or someone in an office corridor, which has just made me realise one thing I've noticed about the human race.
Here we go.
Welcome to PULP Kitchen. Pull up a seat. This is a 3-hour diatribe. No,
Aliens, they built the pyramids.
Look, we human race can do many things, wondrous things. We've uncovered the many wonders in the world. No, right. We can do so many things and brilliant, and we've come so far. One thing we have not been able to ever rationalize or reconcile or deal with is you could be the most smartest person in the world or whatever, it doesn't matter. But if let's say you're at work and you and I, let's say you and I, no, better example. Let's say it's me and my boss at work. Right? We're getting on fire and we're a great chat, that's cool. And you think, great, what can go wrong? But human beings have never got over what to do when that person you've just had a conversation with, you go away and then you walk down a corridor and they're coming the opposite direction and you're going that direction. And we have not figured out what is the best way.
Everyone sees it coming.
Interact. Yeah.
And everyone knows, yeah.
And you either don't interact, you go, smile, or you go, or you awkwardly try and make a joke.
Yeah.
But I find it so interesting that
because there's like 8 seconds sometimes of like,
and you're on a collision course with each other. There's quite a lot of tension.
And there's the
there.
pretense of politeness and trying to impress people at work.
You could know this person your entire life.
Yeah.
I know them very well. But suddenly, in the confines of a corridor heading towards you, you are rendered it's impossible to know how to speak.
You saw your wife of 20 years at the office, and
and
you'd have the same 8 seconds. I still believe you would have the same conundrum of what am I going to react to this woman? How am I going to react to this woman?
Typically at the office, if I can, I don't have any tight corridors in the office, but like I normally just keep my eyes down. But in the sense that I'm like I do that in a way to indicate to people like it's okay. I saw you earlier. I'll see you in a minute.
Yeah.
We don't need to have
as long as you're not nasty.
This liminal
outside
space.
of that space. Yeah, I have done.
Not nasty.
I have spent times in more formal offices where it was just like hi, hi. Yeah. But now I often turn up to places where I'm on best behaviour because I'm there for the day. So I'm of course lovely, friendly James, the best version of myself.
Isn't that the whole version?
Sure.
Of you, isn't it, James?
Yeah, but I think if I was there every day, you wouldn't get that.
No. But what I also noticed when I used to work. So when I used to work at a popular British supermarket, and shop floor's massive, you go a whole shift without seeing someone.
Yeah.
But then the stairs between the ground floor and the upstairs offices were very narrow, and so you could be having the most amazing chat with someone at lunchtime. Great, had a great thing, and then 2 minutes later you've got to run back upstairs or something, and then you'll pass that person on the stairs, and it's like you've never interacted before, and it's like, yeah. And then there was this one manager who would always make something of it. Who would always be like, George, how you doing, George? And I'd be like, I've just spoke to you for half an hour.
Yeah.
What do you mean, George?
What
how
are
you
we doing,
George? Like, we know each other, Stephen.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is a really, really niche specific opening to this show.
It is the thing.
I've always thought about that. It's just weird, like flaw in like human interaction.
I'm so London when it comes to people disturbing me on the street in my own time. Someone's like, I don't know, if anyone bothers me, my instinct isn't like, oh, sorry, yes, what was that? How can I help? It's, what? Huh? And if I don't say it, I'm like thinking it and putting out that energy.
You have to kind of figure it out for yourself here.
Yeah.
Because we're all trying to every day.
So I just feel like in the city, there are so many distractions and everyone wants your attention that chances are it's like not worth me engaging. This is horrible. I'm not saying it's correct, but like I just have this like, what? Sorry, headphones off. Huh? It's horrible.
That's so
I
rude.
don't. It's like in my head I'm
want
doing that, and so I think it manifests in a different way.
I think people can tell with my look if I sort of am like, don't.
No, very important. I'm going to a screening at the London Film Festival. Good day to you, sir.
One thing I forgot to tell you about one of the screenings for the London Film Festival was that when I saw, I think it was The Whale, I sat next to a guy, got chatting. He was in the industry. He was a development guy, development exec, which was interesting, chat about that. But he used to work in sound for 12 years.
Okay.
And I said, oh, did you do anything big? And he was like, yeah, I was the sound guy on 1917.
Oh, wow.
And part of the
big time.
That team won the Oscar. And I was like, wow, this is fantastic.
Huge.
And I really sort of quizzed him on it. And I said, do you miss him? What was it like on set? But he said this really, really interesting thing. He says, one thing that's great about being a sound guy, by which we mean like, you're there with the boom.
There is more to it. But
there is more to it. Yeah, but like, that like, you get everything ready and the director says, right, we're ready to shoot, and the set clears out. except for the actors, the director, and one of the, I mean, there might be a couple of other people, but one of the few people that stays is the sound guy.
Yeah.
To monitor that. And, you know, it's a very intimate
so much.
relationship. You are literally in the eye of the action, the eye of the storm, seeing things.
And a soundie will, often people are mic'd up and they have private conversations and they don't realise that. A lot of very respectful soundies will take their headphones off or they will mute them. They'll have a control to mute them. A lot of them don't. And I used to, so like when I did TV stuff and you would, as a researcher, you would pretend to be the celebrity on the TV show before they were on there. So everyone would rehearse a conversation and then you would wear a sticker with celebrity's name on it and you would answer questions as a celebrity. And I'd be mic'd up because they would do a rehearsal of this show. And what I didn't realise, and some very kind floor managers reminded me, is that like after we've all like stopped, be careful what you say because the MCR sound booth might be transmitting. It's all on an open system, so what you're saying could still be transmitting to everyone. And look, I'm not saying I'm a bitchy guy, but like people in TV having a hard day are often going to be like, oh God, I can't believe this is still going on. What time is it? I can't believe that happened. So I never did, but it was not to the point where like the floor manager would be like, remember your mic.
Right. Okay.
And you always had to rely on the soundie being
really
like,
could have
very
put
good at
yourself
turning you down.
hot.
And a lot of very experienced presenters being like, I'm just going to go for a wee. And it's not because they're trying to tell the whole studio that they're going for a wee. It's so that the soundie doesn't play the sound of their piss hitting the urinal to the entire room. It's true though. It really is. That is what it's for.
That's very interesting. You know?
Yeah.
I realised that. Yeah, it's a very intimate relationship, and you know, you're tucking wires.
That sounds. Imagine what they've seen, or like the secrets they've kept, and the arguments over character that they've kept themselves.
But he just seems so blasé about it. He was just kind of like, yeah, I did that. Now I worked in development. I used to make documentaries. I was like, okay, cool. And he didn't stick around for the whale like I did. It went directed by Darren Aronofsky, and he was like, up, out, and I was like, you must.
What?
I was like, you clearly are not on the same emotional level I am with this film.
So wait, he came into the screening.
He watched the entire film.
Oh, I see.
Sorry.
I thought you meant beforehand.
No.
Is that
Yeah, he just came to talk to me, James.
He watched Mother last night.
No, he watched the entirety of the film, and then it closes, and obviously the first thing you see, it goes directed by Darren Aronofsky, and he was like, up, got his stuff, out the door. And I thought, no. Even with some of the ones I was less hot on at the festival, I stayed to watch
We like
most
to
of the credits.
stew in the music and the credits.
I do. I don't like to be confronted with the outdoor world. That is your transition time to the real world. And I don't like to get my phone out straight away either.
You take a breath and you turn to the person you're with and you go, wow.
I'm actually not a huge fan of people asking me immediately what I think of the film.
I agree.
I have a friend who goes, well, what do you think then? I'm like, it's been 5 seconds. Okay.
Let me Google 7 reviews before I get back to you.
Let me use somebody else's opinion to inform my own.
Let me listen to a podcast first, and then I'll tell you what I really think.
Right. Well, we better get on with this then. This is a
part deux
of. Oh, that was very Boris-like. I didn't like that. This is a part deux.
Oh, don't. I watched this England. I can't.
I know. So you guys know the drill. You were here last week.
Just if you didn't, we'll do this in the next bit.
Yeah, we'll do this in the next bit. Roll B-roll.
Roll B-roll. In case you didn't know, this is part 2 of our London Film Festival episode. Please go back to last week's episode where we did reviews of Living.
Yes.
We did
White
Noise and The Whale.
Yes.
Please go and check that out. It's another full episode with correspondence, reviews, and games. This is part 2 where we're going to be talking about
Empire of Light, which is Sam Mendes' new film. The Banshees of Inisherin, which is Mark McDonagh's new film. And most hotly anticipated one, Glass Onion, Knives Out 2, right?
And if you're listening to this at the time it comes out, these are films for the London Film Festival which are being pre-released for press earlier than they're coming out.
Way ahead of time.
Just so that all the press, all the reviewers and media contacts can go and see these films ahead of the whole award circuit. And what this means is that we've basically been able to see these really early, get an impression out. You guys can figure out if it's something you're interested in seeing. Yeah. George has been able to see them while I've been away. It's very exciting. Yeah. And they should be out in some mixture from November, December.
Like, Banshees is out in a couple of weeks, but Empire of Light is a bit further on, I think, maybe January, and Glass Onion is out in December. Okay?
Lovely. Let's do it.
Right. Let's kick off with Empire of Light, which is Sam Mendes' new film. So Sam Mendes, of course, director. 1917, Spectre, Skyfall, American Beauty, Revolutionary Road, and much else besides, right? Theatre background as well. Empire of Light is a film set in the 1970s Kent seaside. And it's clearly a film like a labour of love for Sam Mendes. It's clearly like a love letter to the past, clearly informed by his childhood, I assume. It is not based on any pre-existing story. It's like an original story from him, and it is all about the Empire, this cinema on literally on the promenade of the sea. This cinema is the film begins with the cinema being opened in the morning by Olivia Colman's character, and it is this absolute feat of architecture. And I still need to work out how much of it is a real building and how much of it is a set. But it is this just a piece of architecture and design. It's a marvel to look at. It's Art Deco. It's got flourishes, 2 staircases that rise out of the lobby to a second level.
Yes, yeah.
It's got this great, very well articulated and sharp concierge, meeting point for the popcorn. Concession stand is what I meant to say. It's red velvet. It's gold balustrades. And you have this actual screening room, which has got red velvet chairs, and it is very much like, even in the 1970s, we're looking at a thing that is almost like a product of its past. It's got this wonderful neon vertical sign outside. It's got this like defined sort of jutting fin. You can tell I work in architecture as a day job, can't you?
Someone works in architecture comms.
Yeah.
Gold balustrades.
Yeah. Anyway, it centres on Olivia Colman's character. And Olivia Colman plays a character. I can't remember the name of.
Don't know why you're pointing at me. I haven't seen it.
Olivia Colman plays Hilary, who is the duty manager of the Empire Cinema. And the film begins with her living her life. It is December 1980, and she is on medication. She checks in with her doctor. She is on lithium, and she says she feels numb. She feels a bit. Her life is stable, but her life is steady and numb, uneventful, and she herself feels quite flat and uninspired. The cinema is kind of uninspired. You've got this kind of trappings of 70s life, which is half charm, like half nostalgia for the past, but also half quite depressing. Like, can you imagine a picture of the British seaside in the 70s? Sorry, 80s. Anyway, she's living this life. It's fairly uneventful. Colin Firth, excuse me.
I do that all the time.
Plays the general manager who's in charge of the entire cinema. And she's got this sort of ragtag bunch of people who work there, who run, the other people at the cinema. And a new person joins, played by Michael Ward, Stephen, who is young, black, charismatic, and incredibly attractive, right? And it's very clear as soon as he arrives that Olivia Colman is drawn to him. He is, like I said, funny. He jokes about the customers behind their back. He is inquisitive. When he's being shown around his first day, he says, "Oh, what's up there?" Because there's no customers allowed. And Olivia Colman says, "No, I can't really show you." And he says, "No, please." And they go up, and there's this really, again, from an architectural design point of view, wonderful scene where they explore these sort of upper levels of this cinema, which is in a much more dilapidated state. Beautiful to look at. As I said, she quickly, it's clear that she is quickly drawn to him and attracted to him. And I don't think this is a spoiler to say, but very quickly within the film, a relationship develops between them, okay? And the film then is sort of about the past and cinema and lost glory of cinema, but also an affection for cinema. But really it's also about, on the one side with Hilary's story, it's about mental health. And on Stephen's side, it's about race and racism. This is the 1980s in England we're talking about. So cue skinheads and Doc Martens shouting abuse. Cue mods on mopeds. Cue stuff in the press about all sort of Thatcherite policies coming through, right? Mentioned in a certain way. That's the context of this film. That's what this film is basically going for. So, Empire of Light by Sam Mendes, which unfortunately is pretty weak, I have to say. Despite all of that, it is pretty weak.
How come?
Unfortunately, it's really obvious filmmaking. And
you're making me rethink the words of the trailer in a way that now feels slightly contrived.
I think just to put the positives out front, It's shot by Roger Deakins, of course, who does most Sam Mendes stuff.
Beautiful.
Immaculately shot, faultlessly shot by Roger Deakins. And that really does a lot of the heavy lifting in this because it's just so brilliantly shot.
1917, Blade Runner 2049, endless other classics.
You know, he is like the go-to cinematographer. He's like the top of the mountain, right?
Yeah, he's like pioneered digital film cinematographer.
It's got music by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, who always deliver. Olivia Colman gives a very committed and very good performance, I think. And Michael Ward equally. Michael Ward equally is really charming, charismatic. Everyone is on their best behaviour. You know, everyone's turned up
Great
and done it.
cast.
Toby Jones is in it. Turns
Great
up, does it.
actor.
Oh, Toby Jones has a really good bit of Toby Jones acting.
Yeah.
Colin Firth's in it. Everyone turns up, does their bit. Fantastic. It's just a shame that when it comes down to the actual writing and the story and the script, it's just so kind of it's contrived and just really unsurprising. Everything that happened in this film, I was like, yeah, I figured that would happen, and yeah, he's going to do that. And you know, when I started to realize, when you think about that story that I just described to you, it is a kind of contrived tale that someone could write at kind of any age or any point in their career.
Did you make a comment about who wrote it?
Yeah, it's Sam Mendes, right?
Sam Mendes,
right.
okay,
And
right.
I started to think, I sometimes have this thing with Sam Mendes, but like I think he wrote a certain amount of 1917, right?
Yeah, I think
and I had a
so.
similar thing there. The dialogue and the way the characters interact, that was never the strongest part of that film. And
Yeah.
definitely isn't with this one. For example, with Hillary and Stephen's relationship, like I said, it's very clear and evident why Hillary is attracted to Stephen for the reasons I said. I think it really doesn't explore enough why Stephen is attracted to Hillary. Hillary is, I don't know how Olivia Colman is, like mid-40s, I assume, or early 40s. Let's say early 40s.
Yeah.
Stephen is, like 20 probably. They really don't provide enough reasons for his attraction to her before their relationship begins, other than so the movie can happen, right?
Yeah.
You know, they don't have any sort of experiences together. They almost show like one scene where they have like an argument, and then the next thing you know, they're sort of like getting together. And I'm like, no, you needed to develop that more about, because you've got quite a gap here. You've got a white middle-aged woman and a young black man in the 1980s of England. Give me something, think about like, just off the top of my head, I feel like Call Me By Your Name, how long it takes for those characters to really pay off and get to that point.
Yeah.
Whereas the barriers of race and mental illness are overcome like basically immediately, so the film can happen. It is also, I find, just again, it's an obvious filmmaking. It's obvious that Stephen is charming and great and all that stuff, but like there's this scene where when they go upstairs to look at the sort of more dilapidated parts of the cinema, there's loads of pigeons. And how do we know Stevens is a good guy? Well, he sees a pigeon that's injured and he takes it off the shelf and he goes, "Oh, hey there, buddy." And he fixes the pigeon's broken wing. And Olivia Colman looks at him and goes, he's not so bad after all. And I was like, really? And the story I've described is not, on paper, isn't uninteresting. It could really work. But every single beat of this film, I just thought, yep, that is exactly what I thought would happen. Its handling of mental illness is, I think, I'm a little uncertain about it.
Okay.
I think it likes to enjoy the drama that portraying mental illness has, and Olivia Colman does a very dramatic performance of it. But I don't know if it's in 2022 the best handling of mental illness, other than being like, this film's about mental illness. I'm like, oh yeah, could you elaborate? Well,
it's a bit of a box tick.
A bit of a box tick. And similarly, I think its handling of race and racism is safe and unsurprising, but that's, I say safe, and not as a good reason. I think in 2022, if you make a film about race and racism, you've really got to be
challenging.
You've got to be doing a lot
it.
more than just simply doing the isn't it terrible school of thing. Racism in this film is just relegated to skinheads shouting at Stephen, to
Well, they were back then.
One punter mouthing off, and certain moments of action. But I'm like, the way we talk about race now and the way we discuss it is so much more complex and advanced, particularly in the last couple of years, that just to present it in this way, it just felt really old-fashioned and really out of date. And it's weird. It's like, it's almost felt as sort of stuffy and past its best, like the cinema itself that it's representing. There's actually like an allegory in the film that kind of works, that Toby Jones takes him up to Stephen up to the projection booth at one point, right? The one, and the film. Toby Jones' character talks about light and how there's a flaw in your retina.
There's
24 frames per second.
If I play the 24 frames.
I think the film wishes it was as light and poetic and cinematic as that description of cinema is, but unfortunately, it is as mechanical and cog turning and perfunctory as an actual projection. An actual projector is, right? Because Toby Jones' character says, out there it's 24 frames per second, it's light, but in here it's actually like pulleys and cogs and system. I'm like, unfortunately the film feels very mechanical to me because I can just see the plot
between the
frames. The plot turning, and then this is going to happen. And the thing is, it was just a little boring, and it was a real shame. And I really got the sense that everyone else was kind of in the same vein too. There are moments of wit and humour, but I really didn't feel invested, and it's such a shame because you've got great talent on screen, great actors, Roger Deakins doing stuff, but I thought it was weak. It was weak, and I don't think it'll wash with a lot of people. Some people I think will be fine with it. I think if you're being very kind, I think it's perfectly fine. But I just think this isn't a very new story. We talked last week about Living, right? Which is like, when I told it to you, you were like, I bet I could see where this story goes. And the same way, when I'm telling you about Empire Light, you could see where the story goes. But Living did something interesting with it. This does pretty much exactly... How you think the film will go is pretty much how the film will go.
Do you think Sam Mendes is a bit overrated? Or is that a very reductive thing to be putting on someone? Because I feel like you are a little bit cold on Sam Mendes. Because I think... I agree with your criticism of 1917 in that I think some of the weakest parts of it was maybe its dialogue and what it did with trying to make it a one-shot spectacle was all very well and it swelled at the end, but actually there wasn't so much original about it.
It's a good question.
And then going back, you go into James Bond territory, and then
I don't want to be like as reductive or binary to say is he good or bad. And also, Sam Mendes knows much more about filmmaking than I do. Okay, that's
I'm asking evident. A question to
set me up.
Yeah.
The thing is, okay, let's go back. So 1917, you basically said what my issues were with that. Bond, he was working with an established property, so he was kind of
one good, one bad.
He had a good toy box to play with. Revolutionary Road I haven't seen, but he's working from good source text, right? And then before that, all I can think of is American Beauty, which I've only seen once, okay?
Yeah, what else did he do between that? He must have done a bunch of things.
Anyway, but I did come away with this thinking, you can direct and you can assemble a great team of talent, but I just don't know if writing is the thing that is Sam Mendes' strong suit.
Interesting.
I
was really looking forward to Empire of Light, and that trailer and the moments you talked about really kind of got me going, and it set me. And I looked at the talent and the cinematographer and all the things you mentioned, and I'm a little bit disappointed to see that it doesn't really.
I'm sorry. I mean, it has all those things in it, but that's interesting for about 10 minutes. Like I said, when I said the film opens with the lights of the cinema being turned on and all that stuff, and I was like, that kind of is exactly how I thought the film would begin. Everything you think is going to happen is in there. Good stuff. I just found it could have been so much better. I'm kind of. I hope it doesn't hypnotize some people in the way that, like, just because it's about the love of cinema, it means to be like, oh, you have to celebrate this film. It's lovely. I think it could have been a lot better.
Well, there you go, guys. That was George's opinion on Empire of Light. If you are listening to this and you have seen Empire of Light, please get back to us and write into hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com. We would love to hear your thoughts.
And guys, it might be a while. It's got a release date of the 13th of January, 2023.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But when it comes out, James will go see it and we'll do a spoiler discussion about it.
To the future you who have seen it, please write it.
George, if you're watching this,
we should still be alive in the nuclear bunker.
Yeah, go watch it. Tell me. I'd love to be told that I'm wrong, that I was in a bad mood.
Always. We'd always love to hear opposing views to us.
I was disappointed.
Thank you very much. So a film that's coming out in a couple of weeks, which I'm hearing a lot of good buzz for. I've seen some people similar in your position who have had a chance to see it. I saw some people put on their Instagram, this is one of the best things I've seen of this year so far. So I'm very curious to hear. This is the Banshees of Inisherin. Inisherin, thank you. The new Martin McDonagh film. George, you have seen it.
I have, okay.
How is it?
So, look, the Banshees of Inisherin. So Martin McDonagh directed In Bruges, Seven Psychopaths, and Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Even though on the poster it says from the director of Three Billboards. I'm like, okay, you're not going to put the last one. And it reunites Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, who were together so fantastically in Bruges. I like him. Do you like In Bruges?
Yes, I think
Seven Psychopaths?
I haven't seen Seven Psychopaths.
Three Billboards?
I liked Three Billboards, but I didn't. People were going on about it. It was a classic Oscar buzz film. And I was like, yeah, it's okay.
Also, I think I should say I've mentioned Three Billboards quite a few times as a film that I didn't really connect with, but it's coming up to nearly 5 years since I saw that film.
What? Is that 5 years old?
I came out early 2018, so I'm probably due a rewatch soon, guys. So I might change my opinion.
Okay.
Anyway, which brings us to his new film, The Banshees of Inisherin. It's an original story set in a fictional island off the coast of Ireland in 1923.
Yep.
It is rural, remote, not a lot happening, not a lot of people, small community.
Windy, cloudy,
Windy,
wet
cloudy,
grass.
very beautiful and a little bit bleak.
Yeah.
The film begins with Colin Farrell's character, Padraig, walking down to Brendan Gleeson, who plays Colm, walking down to his cottage, thank you, knocking on the door and saying, "You coming for a drink then?" You know, and it's evident that like that's what they do every day. And Brendan Gleeson just ignores him, and he goes, "Oh, this is very strange." And he like knocks on the window, and he goes back up to the pub, and he says, "Oh, I think you ignored me." He's like, "What? Did you? Have you been rowing? Did you want to check on it?" He goes, "Oh, okay, go back down." And he knocks on again. Anyway, very soon Brendan Gleeson just says to him, "Listen, I don't want to talk to you. I don't like you. That's it. We're not going to hang out anymore." It's
quite an intriguing mystery. It sets up the trailer of like what the hell has happened on this very like small stakes environment, right?
So Padraig lives with his sister in a cottage, and there's basically the locations for this film are the harbour area where goods get delivered to the post office, the cottage where Padraig lives, the Colm's cottage by the beach, and the pub.
What year? What time?
1923.
Okay, all right.
Right. Across the bay, cannons fire in the Civil War, okay? This is just after, so it's 1922, so it's just after the deunification of Ireland, right?
Right,
But
yeah.
just trying to contextualize this a little bit. Anyway, so he's got this very mysterious setup. Kerry Condon plays his sister. She is probably not familiar to most.
TV's gone. It's fine, as you were. Our TV's gone.
Kerry Condon plays Padraig's sister. She's been in Better Call Saul, that's where most people know her from. And it's also got Barry Keoghan, our favourite Barry Keoghan, who basically plays the village idiot. And you have this then very strange tale about friendship. I would describe The Banshees of Inisherin as a film about love, hate, and friendship. Okay,
hate really definitively.
You've got this comedic, mysterious premise at its heart, which is like, why isn't Colm talking to Padraig anymore? Okay, because it infuriates Padraig. He just completely sends him into a downward spiral. He just cannot work it out at all. But Padraig is not the sharpest of guys, you know, and he knows that, and everyone looks at him a little bit sympathetically, like, oh, okay, you know. It's clear that his sister is much brighter, much smarter. Their parents are long gone. They've got a couple of animals, but she is clearly better suited elsewhere, right, and dreams of a better life. And Colm is widowed and clearly hiding some sort of sadness. What I think is interesting about the Banshees of Inisherin, and Inisherin is the island they live on.
Okay,
right. Sorry, I should have explained.
Yeah.
Is you have this mysterious comedic premise and this sort of tension on the surface of it, which, if you're a fan of Martin McDonagh, you'll be happy to know that this delves into that kind of black humour that you're dealing with. Mm-hmm. Spouts of violence, spouts of silliness, and then the odd intellectual musing. Martin McDonagh, like I talked about with Sam Mendes, the Empire, like has a theatrical background. And it's very interesting because when we talked about The Whale last week, which I said is a play, the Banshees of Inisherin it has the tempoles very much of a play drama. Small location, few characters, and its kind of sort of structure and an intricate concept at its heart, but it doesn't play that at all. It's very cinematic and changes locations.
I was in a Martin McDonagh play as part of my GCSE or A-level drama, the Pillow Man.
Oh right, okay, yeah. Anyway, so on the surface you have that really interesting thing, and watching Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson spark off each other is always fun. Two great performers, and it is funny and witty. But underneath that, what you actually get is a musing that is more philosophical and kind of existential. There is a question underneath more about loneliness, isolation, despair, and what it is like and feels like to be living in 1923's Ireland, on an island off the coast of Ireland, when there's nothing happening. That's the most interesting thing about it. You know, when I've seen quotes say, "Oh, it's shudderingly funny and laugh at love." Like that's not what Martin McDonagh does. I think In Bruges, by country mile, is much funnier and a lot sharper than this film. But this film still does deliver many good few lines. I think some people would probably find it a little slow, particularly in the first half. But I a couple of times was thinking, okay, it's taking me a while to warm up into this premise, because when you've got something as wacky as that, you almost want it to begin setting off a chain reaction, but it's not. It's more, oh, this thing's happened. So I'm going to walk up the path again and go and speak to this person and sit with them and talk like that for a bit. But I don't really want to change anything about the film because it's so odd in its own way that I think those quiet moments that it has are really important to getting to that deeper existential level that's in there. Like I said, there are moments of like violence that bleed through that are really effective and really shocking and give it enough edge to keep you going. I think that some people might find it just a little too slow or a little too implicit. The way it ends as well is quite implicit, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if some people say they don't find it a satisfying ending. But I thought about it, and the conclusion I came to, I was happy with about the way this film ends. And I'd look, you know, if you go and see it, I'd be happy to talk to you about what I think that ending meant. And I think based on what I'd seen in that film, I was happy with what that ending means. I think if you like Martin McDonagh, you're going to have a good time. I think if you like Colin Farrell and you like Brendan Gleeson, you just want some good acting and some good lines being delivered, you're going to like it. If you're expecting a rip-roaring, high-laugh comedy, no, it's not that kind of film.
I think I got that impression from it. Yeah, which is fair.
It's in the same way I said with The Well, like, it's a play, but like it's not a play, but it kind of is a play. So sit down, you got 2 hours, buckle up, but you got a good time there. And you know what? I really think Martin McDonagh has made the film he wanted to make, and it's great to see an original story. I think it's much less compromised than Three Billboards. Yeah, it's an interesting curiosity. Do you know what? Bevan, if you're listening,
I'm friend of the show, Bevan.
Friend of the show, Bevan.
She is. She's definitely listening because she likes all the Instagram reels.
Thank you, Bevan. I would be really interested to know what Bevan thinks of this. So Bevan is our
friend of the show,
a fan of the show who's written in and Irish listener who wrote in many episodes ago about Irish cinema.
Twice now?
Yeah, a few times. Oh, didn't we read it? No, hang on, back up. Anyway,
Bevan's written into more than once.
Bevan. Who wrote in about Irish cinema and what we thought about it, and offering great examples that she looked at. I would like to know what Bevan thinks of this film.
Yeah.
A film
the
made
Irish
by
correspondent.
an Anglo-Irish writer-director with an Irish cast, filmed in Ireland, made in Ireland, about Ireland. Bevan.
And any other listeners out there who happen to be from Ireland,
yeah,
please do.
No,
I'm sure there's more than just Bevan.
Bevan is your ambassador
We
now.
just know Bevan.
We'd love to, any Irish listeners, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Yeah, it's an interesting curiosity.
Yeah.
I think it won't be for everyone, but I'm glad Martin McDonagh got to make it. And I left and I thought, that was quite interesting.
Nice. Well, Bevan's got her homework. I also am very keen to see it.
Oh, actually, do you know what? Just one last thing. It got me thinking. I was watching Colin Farrell in this. Great and everything.
Great.
He's a little tan in this film. And I was like, have you just come back from a month in Thailand shooting
did,
13 Lives?
In the Maldives.
But then I got thinking, and I was like, this is the third Colin Farrell.
Yeah, but he was underwater.
Yeah, but not only when he's shooting the sea. You're telling me he didn't go to Koh Phangan for a little bit?
On the beach.
Anyway.
This
is the third Colin Farrell performance I've seen this year. So he was in this, he was in 13 Lives, and he was in The Batman. And I was thinking about what three completely different roles these are. The Batman, of course, is like super caricature, under loads of prosthetics. My God, what are you doing here? But completely works as that character.
Very larger lifestyle.
Oh my God, super stylish, but brilliant. Performance.
Lost in that role.
Completely lost. He's so enjoying it so much. 13 Lives, it's like the other way. He loses himself in being this completely ordinary IT consultant from like Brighton who flies out to Thailand.
Just a guy you'd sit across from on a train and never think twice about. But
exactly.
even though that's Colin Farrell,
exactly.
It's just completely sold you. Yeah.
And then in this, when he's playing Podrick, he's just like, he just captures it so well. This person who's, he's not too smart, he's not too dumb, he's just so fitting in this world, but a world away from the realism of what happens in Thailand and the mad fantasy of what happens in The Batman.
Good actor.
What a great actor.
Yeah, to be able to completely morph himself to fit whatever style director wants. Perfect.
Yeah. Anyway,
good on him.
Was The Banshees of Inisherin.
Let us know what you think. If you have any impressions of Banshees of Inisherin, please write into hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com, just like Bevan will. I feel really bad if she doesn't.
No, I love it. Please do, Bevan.
Or any Irish out
If
there.
you let us down, Bevan, I will be heartbroken.
Have opinion, please, for a show that you don't do. Thank you very much.
Before I do the next review, I just forgot something I forgot to tell you about with Empire of Light.
Okay.
When I went to see it, I noticed there was it's very interesting going to the press and industry screenings because you see the different types. You can tell some sort of people who are industry because they're usually quite serious and they keep themselves to themselves. But the press are kind of people of our generation who are, I guess, like new media, run YouTube channels,
Internet
run podcasts,
stuff.
not like Guardian journalists, whatever. Okay, but I noticed. When I went to see Empire of Light, there was this really loud bunch of what I want to call film frat boys, okay, who were super eager and super keen, super loud in the morning. I mean, it's 8:30 screening, right? And they were like, oh my God, did you see that yesterday? I was so good. Look, great to have enthusiasm for cinema and stuff, but it was a lot in the morning, okay? Anyway, I digress. We settled down, we watched the film. Like I said, for most of these films, I was loving the audience because everyone loves
it's a film festival audience. You'd expect
everyone
impeccable behaviour.
Impeccable behaviour. In a way, I was like, this is the dream audience, right?
Yeah.
There are moments of humour in Empire of Light. Right.
They're doing what I think they're doing.
Not that funny, and sometimes also funny, but with a sad undercurrent underneath. Every time there was a passingly, mildly funny joke, this one guy in particular would go,
So annoying.
And as if just so he could show, subconsciously, he's basically saying to everyone, look how smart I am.
Funny.
I'm finding it so funny. And I was like, shut the fuck up, man.
I don't care that you find it funny.
It's also not that funny. It made me actually think you're an idiot because you've completely misread the situation.
Nothing's that funny.
Nothing is
rarely. Things are rarely that funny.
Yes.
Name something that was that funny, and I'm not miserable.
That you had to exclaim loud enough and clap to get people's attention.
I had the same in. I told you in Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yes,
the guy really. He was like. It's the clap.
Yeah.
It's not just laugh. It's the clap.
Yes. No one needs the
unforgivable.
It's not theatre. They don't need to hear it. Also, we all know that the more you laugh, actually, the quieter you get because you can't laugh, right?
Yes,
You'll really find something really funny.
You're like, yeah.
Anyway, so that was just a mild distraction. Anyway, moving on. Right.
Next film.
So, James, we've done most of our reviews. Brings us to the last film of the London Film Festival, which is Glass Onion, A Knives Out Tale. Some people refer to it Knives Out too. I might refer to that some a little bit. But anyway, so some context about Glass Onion, which had the biggest queue, like I said before.
I was just about to ask.
Everyone was so keen and so pumped for it. But even when I went to Banshees, for example, somebody was like, oh yeah, on Sunday, we're going to get here really early because Glass Onion, it's going to be really busy. I was like, okay, cool. Go on. Good, nice question.
No, it's but that's interesting because in my eyes, it's a big Netflix film, studio film, but it doesn't to me scream like big award season buzz. Oscar contender.
I think it's a popular film.
Yes.
Knives Out was incredibly popular, and a lot of people really liked that, right?
Commercially, I think, not that we know, but for Netflix, I think it did very well.
Well, it wasn't Netflix. Knives Out 1 wasn't a Netflix film.
Oh, but it was on Netflix.
Maybe now, but when it was released, it wasn't a night. No. It wasn't released as a Netflix film.
Never mind then.
Anyway, I digress. So Glass Onion. So I'm going to go see this. So it's busy, packed crowd. I think the thing is to say is that I think I was a little cooler on Knives Out than most of the people I know are.
Yeah.
Right? Most people loved it or really, really enjoyed it, got a lot out of it. I like Knives Out 1. Don't get me wrong. And it's great cast. I like Rian Johnson. I really like Looper, even though we had a comment on one of our YouTube videos where somebody was like, oh, Looper wasn't a very good premise or whatever. I was like, I personally really like that film. Yeah, I really like it. Anyway, Knives Out 1 didn't work for me because, it's all about whodunit, and I get it. Rian Johnson wants to be subversive, but what essentially happens in Knives Out is that in the first 30 minutes, he shows you what happens. And I know that's not what happens.
Yeah.
But for all intents and purposes, it's what happens, and it renders the entire cast they've assembled of all these famous people out of the picture, and it makes the dramatic threat completely inert, so that for the next hour, I just felt like I was just watching stuff happen, and it's only until the last 20 minutes that it goes, actually though, it was this thing, and you go, right, that's fine, but for the most part of this film, it didn't give me that whodunit sense of, mystery, okay. I was just thinking, so it's actually more about whether Ana de Armas can stay out of trouble for something she might have accidentally done.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
And like I said, that was a shame because they had a huge cast there. And I watched it with my girlfriend, and she got to the end and she was like, I never ever...
Knives Out 1.
Knives Out 1. I never ever suspected any of those people as being suspects. I never that, and I was like, that's a problem. You're meant to it's meant to be misdirection, and I felt like they were just sort of backgrounds to the whole story, which is a shame. However good Ana de Armas is in that film, but whatever, fine. I've watched Knives Out twice. Okay, I've tried to give it a good run.
Yeah.
So going into Knives Out 2, Glass Onion.
And which they I know that Netflix commissioned three more of these, didn't they?
Oh, really? Did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Could be 2 more, but I think they want 3 more Daniel Craig fronting Knives Out films.
Okay. Well, so we have Glass Onion. And when we went to see it, by the way, of all the screens we went to, it was the one where there were loads of ushers and everyone was saying, phones off in the screening, please. Phones off in the screening. Please put your phones away. I was like, Netflix are really on it. This clearly film means a lot to them. They've got a lot of money on it. That's fine.
No spoilers.
And the lights went down and some guy actually came on stage, which doesn't happen at these press screenings. Usually they just begin.
Yeah.
And the guy says, hi, everyone. We just wanted to say, hope you enjoy the film, but just remember that there are loads of surprises in this film, more than just who dies and who did it, okay? Everyone deserves a premium, first, organic viewing experience, and we want to preserve that as much as possible. So please, in your reviews and discussions, please do not give away anything that comes out in this film.
So who did it?
Which I agree with, and don't worry, I will not be spoiling now, but that was just an interesting bit of context. So the film begins. So, Glass Onion, James. Knives Out 2. I had an absolute blast. I
great.
Absolutely loved it.
What a great little turnaround for you.
I know. What a twist. So, Glass Onion. Let's just give the story. It is, and I'm going to tell this very, very vaguely and very broadly, just so because I really don't want to reveal so much. The guy, what I will say is that guy is absolutely right.
Yeah.
Full of surprises, full of delights.
Rian Johnson is back directing.
Rian Johnson, it's his property. It's
Yeah.
written and directed by Rian Johnson.
Nice.
Daniel Craig returns as Benoit Blanc, the southern
Benoit
Blanc, the southern.
There was going
yes,
everywhere.
Foghorn Leghorn, cigar chomping detective, private detective, who features in this film alongside a cast that includes Edward Norton, Catherine Hahn, Leslie Odom Jr.
Kate
Hudson, thank you. Dave Bautista. And that group of people are brought together in Greece for this warm weekend away. And, it's a Knives Out film. So you're going to get a little bit of murder and a little bit of mystery. And Benoit Blanc is on the case. I'm not going to tell you anything more than that about what happens. But what I will say is that Knives Out 2... I've got to stop calling it that. It's just called Glass Onion, actually.
Okay.
It's called Glass Onion. Glass Onion is fun. It is funny. It is so completely aware of its own preposterous silliness, but it also delivers the requisite amount of twists and turns that a good mystery requires. I laughed more than 6 times in this film. And, we were talking about laughing with Empire of Light. I'm a bit of a reticent laugher. I will chuckle, I will titter, but by the end, I was really laughing out loud.
That's great. There
are good, clever jokes in this, and there are good, dumb jokes in this, which I really like. Both skill involved for both. There is so much visual style on display as well that is really witty. So the camera will do things that it's playful. That is the way I would describe Glass Onion, actually. It is so playful. Rian Johnson is trying in so many ways to give you a good time. And I really appreciated that. And it absolutely works. You've also got the style of these characters. Like Knives Out, the first Knives Out, it deals with the super rich, the wealthy. And there is a slight socio-political, socio-economic commentary on the underneath it. Good. I was like, this is this brand I'm getting into. This is the Knives Out brand. Benoit Blanc is jumped into a bunch of rich people and meant to solve the case. Cue stylish clothing, cue wonderful things. Incredibly playful. I would say that if the first Knives Out was meant very much about like a whodunit, like a very novelesque. It was about a novel writer. It felt like a paperback thriller. It was a comment on Agatha Christie and stuff. This, I think, is much more like a comment on a puzzle game. Or like Clue, or Cluedo, as we would say, or and operates in that. There is many more magic trick box elements, surprising twists and turns, contrived complexity to Glass Onion than I would say the first Knives Out. I mean, I was thinking today, and I was chuckling to myself about one particular joke in it that I was like, that was so good, and it was so great seeing it in a cinema with people because remember this is a Netflix film, so most people are going to watch this at home. Hearing everyone laugh and guffaw and really go with it, and not in the. Is it getting? I found it so funny.
Is it getting a limited cinema release?
I imagine it will do. This isn't coming out until Christmas, but
do you think it's worth seeing on the big screen if you can?
I think
so. Or do you think it's just as fun on the small?
It's hard for me to say. I would say just watch it and go with it. Just if you're going to watch it at home over the Christmas period, make sure it's
turn the lights off. Don't distract yourself.
Yeah, don't watch it after Christmas dinner when your nan's reading a crossword or something and keeps interrupting people. Like I said, I was not part of the Knives Out camp, and I had a really, really good time with it. Oh, Janelle Monáe is also in it.
It sounds like of all the films you've spoken about in these 2 episodes, you've been the most glowing about this one. Because it's probably subverted your expectations the most.
Probably subverted my expectations. Also, The Whale is very good. Yeah. It's not a lot of fun.
Sure, yeah.
Glass Onion is a lot of fun. I don't think Glass Onion is going to win an Oscar.
No.
There's no career comeback,
but your eyes
emotional redemption thing in it. But
Daniel Craig's really had a rough time.
I think Daniel Craig's wonderful in it. There are so many charming little elements to it. I just can't wait for people to see this. I don't want. Just be careful when this film comes out, what you read and what you see, because I think if any one of those things would have been ruined for me, it really would have diminished it. It was so raw and fresh to me. And I've tried not to describe any much more of it. I haven't even told you the premise of the plot or anything. It's just.
I remember seeing a junket, and I think it had 8 cast members in it, and an interviewer. And I remember. Not really, they couldn't say much about the film for obvious reasons, but what I do remember is all of those cast members talking in a very excited way about the film. They were all really into it, really in love with the script, and were genuinely excited to have other people see it. Yeah. And I thought, they're really into it. Hopefully that means something. And I'm glad to hear it definitely does.
So I came out thinking this is an original film, not based on... Not
so rare these days.
It's not based on pre-existing IP. I know it's a sequel, but come on, it's not.
Yeah.
It's a new thing made by a director who's just allowed to do what he wants to do. That is so well executed. And Netflix have thrown a lot of money at this, and I think it's thoroughly paid off. I think it's a great time. I think people are going to have a great fun. If you like the first Knives Out, I really think you'll like this. I think it's better. I think it's so much more fun. But I don't know. People might prefer the first one. I don't care. I loved it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So now we've sort of talked about all our London Film Festival films. I've only seen one. Rank the top 5. No, I roundup. How do you feel about this run of films? Obviously, it's not all the films that are going to be coming out.
So
there
are a couple of big ones that I missed. The Sun, The Wonder, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
Was Tar on option?
Tar was what She Said was. So there are many big ones that I missed. I still think it's a good year.
We said the other day we think it's a good year film.
Yeah,
already,
I mean, we still haven't had things there.
The
Fablemans isn't in there. I don't know if that Scorsese picture is coming out anytime soon, but Killers of the Flower Moon. For me, the highlights are Glass Onion was an absolute whale of a good time.
Fun.
Absolute great blast. The Whale equally, but for completely different reasons, is very powerful and very moving, and something that really needs to be seen, to be understood and believed and commented on.
Probably deserves a really good spoiler chat with our audience impressions and all that.
Living, it was this much quieter, much smaller film compared to these big ones, but I found very charming and I had a real soft spot for. Banshees of Inisherin, interesting, fine, a bit up and down, but all the way there. Just the main disappointment was Empire of Light, I have to say. But I can't wait for you to watch.
And White Noise I enjoyed, but I feel a little bit mixed on how structured it is. That's all I saw.
But you know what? In a way, just think about Glass Onion. It's I want to talk to you about it, but I don't want to. I almost don't want to rewatch it because I worry that rewatching it on Netflix won't have the same reaction, or watching it in a cinema is something will ruin it for me. But guys, you can relax. You're in safe hands.
Well, there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed our London Film Festival roundup. We did our best to see as many as we could and give you previewed impressions. But as always, we said it 1,000 times, when you guys see these films, please do write in, because we'd love to just maybe, once I see them or once they start coming out, we want to just keep talking about them, whether or not you think any of these films will be nominated. If you think Brendan Fraser's going to win the Best Actor. Whether or not you hate Glass Onion, please just let us know.
Glass Onion is released on the 25th of November.
Okay, so earlier than we thought.
So actually quite soon, next
fine.
month. But like I said, don't read anything more about it. This is the only place you need to come.
Yeah.
But like, don't read anything more about it. Just go watch it.
Love it. So, George, there you go. Those were the 2 parts of our London Film Festival roundup. Thank you so much for seeing all of those films. But as always in Pulp Kitchen, we love to hear from... Did you just belch through that?
No, I just went, thank you.
I thought you went...
That was me trying to be like, I thank you, I'm tired.
Right,
from getting up and watching this film.
Well done for doing it. As always, we like to have our listeners write into the show. And you can write in your thoughts, your questions, your concerns to hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com. Just like Bevan did.
Oh,
Bevan, friend of the
devil,
show.
Bevan,
I mean, you are quick, Bevan. No, this is obviously a different email from Bevan, who writes in and says, "Hi, I've recently been loving all of the content lately, especially your 2023 Oscars predictions." Bevan, thank you so much. If you didn't know, we did a whole episode where we went through all the films that could or couldn't be potential winners of the Oscars. Please go back and listen to that. Some of which George has now had a chance to see. I've been thinking about classic literature that has been developed into films, some being great and others not so great. I was wondering if you guys had a favourite or one that sticks out most to you. Mine would definitely have to be The Muppets Christmas Carol. It is not only the best adaptation of the novel, but is also one of the most detailed adaptations with regards to costume in particular. I was just wondering what you guys thought. Some of my thoughts, lol. Looking forward to the next episode. Best, Bev. Well, sorry, Bev, you've got some homework to do now. I haven't seen A Muppets Christmas
You're
Carol.
joking.
No.
Oh, it's wonderful, James.
I completely... The Muppets has just gone over me my whole life.
Well, I'm the same, really. I haven't seen much of the other stuff. I saw Muppets, the new one with Jason Segel in the cinema.
Does it hold up? Christmas Carol Muppets?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Oh, okay. I should do
and
it.
It's short, really short. It's like 80 minutes tops.
Oh, fine.
We got the album at home. We used to play it during Christmas time. As a cold wind blow it chills you.
So you love it.
Marley and Marley, the song, which because obviously in the book it's Jacob Marley, right? But in this one they got Waldorf and Statler, the Muppets, and they made them Jacob and Robert Marley. Robert Marley being Jacob and Bob Marley, and they have this whole scene where they haunt Scrooge, and it's like we're Marley and Marley, oh, avarice and greed. I love Muppets Christmas Carol. There's a bit in it where Scrooge goes to go home, and the door knocker on his door turns into the face of Robert Marley. And it's done in such a weird, like, slightly CG, slightly puppet way that it freaked the bejesus out of me when I was a kid, right? Also, a little detail. So I know it's a bit early to talk about Christmas chat, but it was brought up, right?
They say once Halloween is over, it's all fair game.
Has this come
for marketing,
right,
not for,
there's a bit at the end of the film where Michael Caine plays Scrooge, right? You know that, okay?
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, Mr. Cratchit, Bob Cratchit. It's brilliant. And there's a bit where he walks past a
George
shop.
loves it.
And I do love it. You got me going now. Thank you, Bevan, for bringing this up. There is a shop behind Michael Caine at the end that is called Micklewhite's, which, of course, is a playful reference to the fact that Michael Caine's real name is Morris Micklewhite.
Oh, that's cool. Maybe I shouldn't just watch the same old thing on repeat for Christmas, and I should just go and watch.
Oh, it's a safe bet. That is a Christmas Eve, maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Easy. It's great. Good. There's some good lines in there. It's funny.
Lovely. This next one is for another friend of the show.
Sorry, hang on a minute. I did actually answer Bevan's question about classic adaptations. I don't think I actually have an answer. Sorry.
What was it about?
Literary adaptations that have been... I don't have an answer off the top of my head. Sorry, Bevan. But I gave you the Muppets Christmas Carol one. That's my gift to you. Now go off and watch the Banshees of Inisherin, for God's sake.
Up. This next one is from another friend of the show, Tabi from South Africa, who writes
Tabi.
brackets again. He says, "Hey guys, you continue to send out amazing content almost every week," and put almost in brackets, "and you make my weeks a lot brighter."
Hang on.
Tabi,
Hang on.
almost.
Okay, I would like to think that's almost as in like sometimes you miss...
We're a day late.
Not like, it's almost good.
It's almost every week. It's really off weeks. And it's like a bracket.
So sorry almost every week. Yeah.
Tabi she says, "I have compiled a short list of actors. When you each hear the name of that actor, what movie would you say is their magnum opus?" And then Tabi very kindly provided the Google definition of a magnum opus, which is the most important or best work that an artist, composer, or writer has produced.
Yes.
And what makes it that? Was it an example of them flexing their acting chops? Perhaps the plot and or screenwriting that they were a part of had a profound effect on filmmaking, etc.
Okay.
They may have had many great films, but what is the one and all role that stands out above all? I tried to choose actors with an extensive and diverse filmography, and I think it would be interesting to hear. George, we're going to go through these.
All right,
okay?
we'll just do like quick fire.
We'll do a 3, 2, 1. Yeah, this thing. Ready? First one. 3, 2, 1. Daniel Day-Lewis.
There will be blood. Yeah.
Anything that you would say comes close? Phantom Thread. What about? Are you a fan of the Gangs in New York?
I haven't seen it as an adult.
I think I'm the same. I think I saw it at 18 again for the second time, and I think I need to refresh. Next one. 3, 2, 1. Natalie Portman.
Black Swan.
Same. Black Swan.
Yeah. Good in loads, but yeah, Black Swan.
Black Swan. Next one. 3, 2, 1. Denzel Washington.
Training Day?
I was going to say Training Day, and I thought that's probably going to be said. So I'm going to say he was so good in Fences, which is not a film which I love. I found it
film.
Very play film. It's quite a tiring watch, and I think it would have been amazing to have seen Denzel Washington and Viola Davis do it on stage. But he is just an absolute tour de force in that film.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of Denzel. I haven't seen Training Day in a long time.
Me neither.
Flight he's very good at, but I think the film is really weak towards the end. Tour de force, I would say Training Day, maybe Fences, yeah.
Lovely. Next one, 3, 2, 1. Julianne Moore.
Well, I think crucially, and I don't think you have seen two of like the most, or three. There are three big Julianne Moore performances, which is Safe, the Todd Haynes film from the 1995, Far From Heaven, another Todd Haynes film, which is like 1950s melodrama, and The Hours, which is, I don't know, did Todd Haynes do The Hours? I don't know. No, that might have been, whatever. The Hours as well. Those are three big Julianne Moore performances that I have not seen.
Yeah.
Okay. What I have seen, I haven't
Still
even
Alice,
seen. I haven't seen Still Alice. God,
Julianne Moore's.
but I regard her very highly. What
She's
have
really good in A Single Man, the Tom
she is
Ford
good in
one.
that. I think it depends who you ask, isn't it? I think if you said Julianne Moore, most people would say Still Alice, I guess.
Do you know what's really hard for me is that Julianne Moore really looks like and reminds me of my mum. So I find her a really distracting actor, and she's brilliant. But I'm always like, something about the manner, and me and my sisters all agree, like Julianne Moore looks like mum, and like just.
Your mum's not a red.
No, my mum's not a redhead, but like their face structure's really similar, and they have like ways when my mum's like a bit sad, like, and then Julianne Moore's playing like any sad, I'm always like, that's just my mum, but it's not Julianne Moore's fault. This is a real me issue.
She's good in the. She's good in Magnolia. Oh my God, I had almost forgotten. This is important.
The Hunger Games Catching Fire.
No, Glass Onion. No. She's not in Glass. Sorry, she's not in Glass Onion. I just forgot something. I got to talk about Glass Onion.
Oh, okay.
I just mentioned Julianne Moore and Magnolia. In Glass Onion, there is a very specific visual Easter egg reference in someone's costume to Magnolia.
Okay.
That is not hinted at anything. It's just there, and I saw that and I was like, that is Magnolia. And I'm not going to be any more specific because I want someone to also see it and to let me know if they saw it too. But
was there like a sense that the rest of the audience members got it, or was it too subtle?
No. It's not something that's even like. It's just something that's there. Like if you know it, you see it.
Right. Okay.
But I saw it and I was like, that has to be deliberate, right? There's no other way that would be there.
Okay.
It has to be purpose. So if you see Glass Onion and you've also seen Magnolia and you watch Glass Onion and you go, oh, Magnolia reference.
Right in.
Let me know.
Well, that was Julianne Moore. Next one. 3, 2, 1. Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm going to say...
I was actually going to say Catch Me If You Can.
Same.
Really?
Because he does so much in that.
Yeah, he grows up.
And he's young.
And he plays
He's
ages.
like, I think he proves himself. He is like not just a sexy heart.
Most people would say Titanic, but I feel like that's Kate's film.
He's really good in Romeo and Juliet as well.
Aviator.
Yeah, I saw The Aviator.
Yeah,
decades ago.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I would say Catch Me though, because you're right. It's like he's doing a lot. In that.
He's great in Revolutionary Road.
Wolf of Wall Street.
And Wolf of Wall Street. I think a lot of people would say it as a magnum opus piece. That is like a 3-hour epic.
He is very
going
good
all out.
Or Revenant. No, he's
Revenant's great, but I think he's more proving himself in Wolf of Wall Street.
I would say Wolf of Wall Street, Catch Me If You Can. Next.
Last one. 3, 2, 1. Toni Collette.
Hereditary, probably.
Hereditary is the film that immediately comes to mind.
Because she's one of those people that's been in loads. Catherine Hahn is now doing the roles that Toni Collette used to do. Right?
I remember Toni Collette is in About a Boy, and that was one of the first times I saw Toni Collette, because it was like really a while ago. And just like, it's always when I started seeing Toni Collette in things, and she became more successful, like she's the really sad mum in About a Boy.
Yeah, really sad.
That's a great film, About a Boy. I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah. I watched it in lockdown again. Yeah, it's good. one thing actually, sorry about that. Hugh Grant in About a Boy he said this in an interview. He was like, most people think I play the same floppy-haired git in each one, right? And he said, but what people don't realise in About a Boy, I'm actually doing a very specific North London accent.
Yeah.
And if you do listen to it, he doesn't quite sound like the normal Hugh Grant. He is actually trying to sound different.
Interesting.
And I was like, oh, you know what? Fair play.
Rachel Weisz in that as well.
Yes. I've got another name we can throw in as one.
Go on.
Kate Blanchett.
Ooh.
Because I know what I would say. Kate Blanchett. Can I say mine?
Yeah, go on.
Carol.
I've not seen Carol.
Oh, whoa, okay. You know what? Now is the time to see Carol. It's
I
a
know.
wintry Christmas film. It's not a Christmas film. It does the bit of it at Christmas.
I feel like Tara's about to be her magnum opus.
Sure. She's very good in Carol, though.
She's good in everything.
But she's quite... well, though Rooney Mara's really good. It's mainly her film as well. You should see Carol. That's a real good one.
Anyway.
Okay.
Toby says, I've got my notifications on and look forward to the next episode. Best wishes to you both. P.S. I will never give up on hoping the food will make a comeback. Tarby's from South Africa.
Thank you, Tarby. Thank you.
Well, that was almost a good email. No, I'm kidding. That was fantastic. Thank you. This next one is from Oscar, who says, hey guys, hope you are both doing well. I've been listening to the podcast for a while now and always come back for the episodes and reviews. You know what's nice about us having done 47 episodes of this is that people can say they've been listening for a while.
Yes.
Like we've done, it's been almost a year. Well, it's been over a year now.
Yeah.
People be like, yeah, it's been a while.
We appreciate it.
Long-time listener, first-time writer.
I love it.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Legacy. I was wondering if there's any work from directors you would like to see more of, and what is the top film you would like to see from those directors? I seem to find myself hearing about many directors like Ingmar Bergman, but find it hard to find his work without spending lots of money on DVDs and Blu-rays.
Oh, hang on. Read that again.
I was wondering if there was any work from directors you would like to see more of, and what is the top film you would like to see from those directors?
So, any work from... Is there directors whose work I need to see more of, or directors who I would like to do more work? Are the directors who don't make enough films? I think
it is because he mentioned Ingmar Bergman.
I think it's directors who you need to see more of the work of.
We did
both valid questions.
Both valid questions. We should do them both.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me finish the email. Director Ingmar Bergman, but I find it hard to find his work without spending lots of money on DVDs and Blu-rays. You two do such a fantastic job. The podcast has become a part of my week listening to it when or wherever I am. Keep up the amazing job. Much love, Oscar.
Thank you.
Okay, so first off, for the question of work from directors you want to see more of.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right. So I need to see more Ingmar Bergman films.
Oh, I see. So
this is
directors
whose work you need to see more of.
I would say Ingmar Bergman. I haven't seen a single.
Do you remember we did the movie Blind Spots recently? I talked about Akira Kurosawa.
Kurosawa.
Go and check that out.
Kurosawa, Bergman, Tarkovsky.
Yes, Tarkovsky. That was it.
Probably. I've only seen one Fellini. I think if you've seen one, you can sort of be about Fellini. I've seen
like Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Sergio Leone.
Yeah, it was those ones. Okay.
Please
go back and listen to the episodes. We should do another Blind Spots.
We could do
directors in like a few months when it's quieter.
And then the other version of that is
who is a director you want to see make more films?
Right. Okay.
Right. Do you know what my answer is? I've mentioned it before. Tom Ford. I'd love Tom Ford to do another film because I'm a huge fan of Nocturnal Animals, and I mentioned A Single Man, which is also good, but I think Nocturnal Animals is better. And I remember seeing Nocturnal Animals, and it was just a film that really stuck with me, and I put it in one of my favourite scenes when we did some of the best scenes. And I felt like in that film, he really found his stride as a filmmaker, and he had his own little brand of sort of beautiful, fashionable, like slightly horrifying and tortured.
Yeah, brilliant.
So I was just waiting for him to do something else, and I feel like he's so busy with all of his other ventures, he hasn't done one, and I'm like desperately waiting for a Tom Ford trailer to drop.
I got one. Richard Ayoade.
Oh, yeah.
He made Submarine, which was, delightful and charming, but also had his own identity. I haven't seen The Double, which he made straight afterwards, right?
Oh.
With Jesse Eisenberg.
I have seen The Double.
Based off of Dostoevsky.
I did see The Double, yeah.
And then he hasn't made another one. And I'm like, Richard,
Double was quite out there.
You were onto something.
Yeah.
And we're talking nearly 10 years ago.
What's he doing now? Is he acting much?
He's like part TV presenter, part game show host, but he does like Travel Man and BAFTA hosts the BAFTAs.
Travel Man not for a while though.
I think he does stuff that he does work that, and I say this respectfully, that is very easy to, that is easier to do when you're raising a family.
Ah, I see.
So it's like Travel Man, I could do that for X amount of time a year, host the BAFTAs. It's stuff that pays well and does well and keeps a high profile, but is probably more easy to fit around the schedule of bringing up children, whereas I want you to go away and make a film is a
all-encompassing.
Yeah, you are the director of this film. Excuse me.
He's so great in an interview. He's like impossible to interview because he just refuses to like.
Did you ever watch The Souvenir? No,
No.
It's not great. It's a bit cool, but he's in that as an actor.
Right.
But he plays a bit of an asshole in it.
Yeah.
And he's just this sort of like very, there's this relationship between this young woman and this much older man, not much older, but Tom Burke. But like she's 20 and he's like 37 or something. And he's quite wild and a bit of a druggie, and like she's young and naive and innocent. And they have a dinner party with Richard Ayoade's character, and he's there with his girlfriend. He's very artistic. I think he's got a beret on. And he's smoking, and he's just like, yeah, but see, my thing is, I'm just trying to wonder how you two sort of tessellate. And it's just the way he lingers on that word.
Because his comedy, when I watch him on like 8 out of 10 Cats, he can be really cutting and unforgiving to like try and get an answer out of him. I have a feeling that, I don't know this, but a host will find it really difficult to present round Richard Ayoade.
Very intelligent.
Very unpredictable, intelligent. You don't really know where he's going to take it.
Yeah.
There you go. We answered both, Oscar.
We answered 2 questions. We made up one for ourselves.
This one is from Molly, who says, "Hello, lads. Found your podcast on the suggested bit on Spotify."
Hey!
And suggested podcast bit on Spotify. What? Unless this is a ruse, I hope it's not. No. And clicked as soon as I saw it and haven't looked back.
Thank you
this
very
is a bit
much.
of a long one, so my apologies. We're on the Spotify recommended page. So I sent you a screenshot the other day of some of our chartable stats, and we are starting to get close to breaking some of like the top 100s on. We're not there yet on TV and film.
UK, the Netherlands, and is it Sweden?
Yeah,
or Australia.
I think like the numbers wildly go up and down depending on like who around the world listens. But
I'm waiting for our world tour.
I feel like you don't really chart until you're top 100 or really top 50. So if we can get into that top 100 and people just go a podcast and they can see us,
yes,
we're doing good.
Oh, thank you. Well,
doing
and
good.
you guys do play big part of that. But sorry,
and if you do find us and you enjoy us, like, star us, do all that stuff. Yeah. I'll start off by saying thank you to you both. I have autism and often find it really difficult to start watching new things as I don't like surprise or disruptions to my routine. Since listening to you talk about films, I've started to venture out of my comfort zone and watch more, and by doing so, enjoy more. So thank you. That's really nice to hear. Something to add to your criticism of the MCU. Having autism, I find it very stressful around loud noises as they physically hurt my brain. Marvel have been doing sound design pretty awfully from a neurodiverse perspective. Brackets, everyone's autism is different, so I can only speak for myself. Their films and TV shows are distressing to watch as the talking is quiet and the action is super loud. It's super distracting for me, and I can never enjoy the films as they are. I went to see one of the Avenger films and sat the whole time removing and putting back on my ear defenders. I haven't gone back to see one since. Everyone is always surprised when I bring this up as criticism. Do you think filmmakers should be thinking about this when doing sound for their films? There doesn't seem to be a conversation about this outside our community. Thanks again, Molly. Molly, thank you so much for writing that in.
Yeah, Molly,
what an interesting one.
Molly, thank you. Yeah, what a great email. Thank you so much. It's always interesting to hear,
something I would never have thought about at all.
I think it's a really good question. I'm aware that I believe that some cinemas are starting to try and do what I guess is referred to as autism-friendly screenings that take into account the needs of the neurodiverse community. But as Molly says, everyone is different. Which also, as a point, is quite good that cinemas are starting to broaden, where they do toddler-friendly screenings or infant-friendly
subtitles, etc.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting point because obviously, like cinema and spectacle and loud noises are something like that's been associated with cinema for like 100 years, right?
Yeah.
It's just, and you and I have had conversations about cinemas that don't turn up loud enough.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
So, but it's it's important and interesting that for a whole different cross section of people that's problematic.
I'd be interested to hear about what from a sound perspective, because the cinema is a very sort of like uncontrolled environment for you, right? Like you can't really set the volume, you don't really know. But I'm interested to know, like when you go to watch a film, what necessarily you would change to make that more easier experience for you. What I will say, and what we've both said about some cinema experiences recently, is that not neurodiverse perspective. I have found that sound mixing in cinemas hasn't been perfect.
No, agreed.
Where the dialogue hasn't been done properly, the crashing of a loud noise will be completely blown out. So I don't even know if that's something that actually needs to be. That like, I think sound technicians need to properly go and sit down in their theatres and go, hang on, like let's properly sort this out.
And sound designers as well, right? But the sounds of it. So sound designers and sound technicians, and you're right. When I brought,
that's also really hard to do between like hundreds of theatres across the country.
Well, like standardization, It is difficult, but you want people to go to the cinema. That's the thing, you want people to enjoy it. I mean, I remember when I said about Moon Age Daydream, that was like really loud. I mean, I enjoyed it, but like if you found loud noise uncomfortable, that would be a real problem.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we don't have an answer, but it's interesting just to know that every single facet of design within an intricately designed thing that is a film can be read and experienced by different people in an audience group in such a different way.
What I can speak more authoritatively on is the recent revolution that has been happening for accessibility features in video games, where recently so many games have made it like way easier for people who are partially blind, who don't have hearing. They're using like a rumble in the controllers and like haptic feedback, and they'll like illuminate stuff really brightly on the screen. So like collectibles are really easy to find, and it's just been like all these people are now able to experience things they never would have. And I think it would be interesting for films to almost like experiment with new ways of visually highlighting certain things or refocusing things on characters. But as I said, like I can't comment on what it is that makes that more approachable. But
great email, Molly. Thank you for writing in.
And there you go. Those were all the emails we got this week. As always, we absolutely love to hear from our audience. You guys are all amazing. All the regulars, all the new people, all the long-time listeners, first-time writers in. Please write in your questions, your thoughts, your concerns to hello@PulpKitchenPodcast.com. Okay, George, as always, we end Pulp Kitchen with a game. We are back with another round of Guess the Movie Based on the Character. I'm going to quickfire read you a bunch of characters from famous films, and you have to tell me what film they belong to. George, are you ready?
Let's go.
Ready? You have to guess the film based on the character's name.
Okay.
In 3, 2, 1. Stifler.
Oh, American Pie.
Mugatu.
Zoolander.
Rizzo.
Grease.
Lord Farquaad.
Shrek.
Detective Alonzo Harris.
White
Training Day.
Oh, White Chicks. I've never even seen it.
Vesper.
I just thought you get me. Go on. Terrible. Go on, next.
Vesper Lind.
Casino Royale.
Gretchen Wiener.
Mean Girls.
Yes. Alfred Pennyworth.
Batman. Any Batman.
Danny Ocean.
Ocean's 11.
Anna Scott.
Anna Scott.
Kind of hard, but if you love the film, you would know. That's
Anna
okay.
Scott.
Notting Hill. It's kind of one if you do, you love the film, but there you go.
This is harder. It's good.
Colonel Kurtz.
Apocalypse Now.
Last one. Tatiana Romanova.
Tatiana Romanova. Is that like Tatiana? Is that
I chose it because it's a great
Black
name.
Widow?
It's
No, wait. Is it Black Swan?
From Russia with Love. But you were sort of almost on the right
Russian,
lines.
yeah.
Well, there you go. So on my flight recently, to the person, it was like a 5-hour flight, so you get a screen. It's the person on ahead of me to the right, so like my perfect view to passively watch what they're watching, binged watched Oceans 11, 12, and 13. They didn't get through all of 13. But so they watched Oceans 11, and I'm like, I feel like I've seen them now.
Yeah.
Like, I guess I've passively
you
watched
seen Oceans
them.
11 before?
No, I have. I feel like I saw it. I feel like I've rewatched them now. So I'm watching her watch Oceans 11, and then credits roll, and then this recommendation comes up. Would you like to watch Oceans 12? Immediately presses Oceans 12, and I'm like, I wonder if this woman's going to do all of them. And so I'm like watching her watch Oceans 12, like the whole thing. And then I'm like, I'm going to check back on her in 2 hours, and I'm going to see if she watches Oceans 13. And sure as shit, credits roll, and it says, would you like to watch Oceans 13? And she just goes straight into it.
Nice.
And the Oceans films are quite samey.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to watch like 5.5 hours of Oceans films, but yeah, God bless her, she did it.
She didn't watch Ocean's 8.
No, but if she'd
Who
had
did?
the time, she would have. Jesus. Well, there you go. Thank you very much for listening to this episode of Pulp Kitchen. Don't forget, we post new episodes of this show every single Wednesday.
Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. You know the drill, guys. Instagram and TikTok. Please follow us. Please like us. Give us a thumbs up. And leave us a review on an Apple podcast or something as well.
Yeah, love some of those.
We're also on Amazon Music as well.
Music
You can
now.
give us our
How do you
podcast.
rate on Amazon Music? Is there a rating thing on there?
Well,
Find out.
Find it and do it. We appreciate it, guys. Really value it. It means
Please
a lot
go
to us.
and give some love to the YouTube. Just go on there and give us a subscribe if you haven't already. It really makes a huge difference.
Yeah, thank you.
See you next week.
next
I hope you
week.
enjoyed
That's
the
not too
London Film
uncertain, James.
Festival.
Yes, see you next week. I hope you enjoyed the London Film Festival. All right, we're out.